It didn't cover this.
But she's not up front
What do your parents do for a living?
about her own family.
My father works as a plastic surgeon.
So your father performed the surgery?
Yes, he did.
Very bad form. Not good to do here, Miss Simone.
This is Judge Judy. 19-year-old Ariella Simone is suing Michael Sobolov and his son, 19-year-old Evan, for a dog bite that occurred during a party in their home.
Judge, this is case number 27 on the calendar in the matter of Simone versus Sobolev. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Simone, how old are you?
I'm 19.
And Mr. Sobolov, what's your son's first name?
Evan.
Evan?
Yes.
How old are you, Evan?
I'm 19.
Mr. Sobolov, you were not at home when your dog bit the plaintiff. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct, Your Honor.
On what date did this happen?
I'm not sure. I think it was August 4th or August 5th.
Is that correct, Miss Simone?
No, it was August 3rd,
Of what year?
2019.
You left Evan alone in the house to watch the house, watch himself, and watch the dog. Am I correct, Mr. Sobolov? So you actually have no first-hand information about what happened on that day.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did you leave?
We must have been gone.
If this happened on August 3rd,
I only found out for a couple of days.
do you remember where you went?
We were in New York for business.
Who's we?
My wife and I.
And where is your usual home?
Usual home was right there.
In California?
Yes.
So you flew to New York?
Yes.
Well, if you flew to New York, you had to have been gone more than 2 days. 1 day flying and 1 day coming back. And if you went there on business, you have to accomplish business. So that's at least another day.
Your Honor, it could have been 3 days.
Do you remember what day? Could have been. Do you remember what day of the week, Miss Simone, this happened?
I believe it was Saturday.
Okay. And you were there on what kind of business, Mr. Sobolov, in New York? What's the nature of your business?
Garment manufacturing.
Well, the garment district is closed on Saturday and Sunday. So if this was a Saturday evening that your son was having a gathering at the house and you went to New York, you had to be gone more than 3 days.
It probably was 3 days, Your Honor. Again, I wasn't sure about the exact date. The trade shows in New York are usually on Sundays and Mondays, and we go to New York for trade shows, or we did before COVID.
Okay, so Sunday and Monday, and you would have come home on Tuesday.
That's correct.
Okay, so let us say that you left on Saturday. Let's go over to Evan. Evan!
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a better memory of these events? Did your father and mother leave?
Leave the day of, so I guess it was Friday or maybe a day before.
Either Thursday or Friday?
Yes, Your Honor.
And they came back on Tuesday evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you tell them that the dog had bitten the plaintiff? When they were in New York or when they came home?
It wasn't until months after the event occurred when I found out there was a lawsuit involved.
So you didn't tell them at all?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. And at the time, Evan, so this is a year ago, so on what date is your birthday?
August 21st, Your Honor.
So at that time, you were 17?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the plaintiff was 17, is that correct?
I must have been 18. Oh, no.
What do you mean you must?
Sorry, 17.
Right, you were 17. How many people, Evan, did you have over at the house on Saturday night?
I believe somewhere between 10 and 15 people, Your Honor.
And had you discussed with your parents when they were leaving that you were having a bunch of teenagers over at the house?
I told them I would be having friends over.
That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
You told me you'd be having friends over. Anything more specific than that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. At what time did you invite these friends over?
I believe it was around 7 or 8 p.m., Your Honor.
So you were having a Saturday night party. Did you specifically invite plaintiff, or was she brought by somebody else?
She was brought by someone else, Your Honor.
Were people supposed to bring their own alcohol, or did you supply it?
Alcohol, Your Honor. There was none in the house.
That's not my question.
Oh.
My question is, did you supply the alcohol?
No, Your
Or
Honor.
were people supposed to bring their own?
A couple kids brought their own.
I want you to understand, Evan, that I have had 5 teenage children. I have 13 grandchildren, 11 of whom have or are currently teenagers. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. So my question to you is, did you supply the alcohol, or did the people bring their own?
The people brought their own, Your Honor.
Great. Did you supply the food, or did people supply their own?
I'm not 100% sure
Well,
if
let's
there
go
was
back.
food.
There's always food. Either you ordered it in or you had it. You know, most
Then I ordered-
17-year-old teenage boys.
Well,
Miss Simone, food. Was there food at this party?
I don't recall there being food, actually.
Pretzels, potato chips, munchies, anything? If there's nothing much to drink, nothing much to eat, what are we all doing at his house?
There was alcohol at the party, but there
Of
was
course
no
there was.
food. There was no. I don't recall there being food.
Well, not a very good party. Okay. I want you to tell me how it came about that Miss Simone was bitten, and there's no question she was bitten, and there's no question she was treated in a hospital, because she's going to show me proof of that, correct, Miss Simone?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We did, Your Honor. He passed away in October.
And the dog passed away. Okay. But she was senior back in August of 2019.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to tell me how it came about that Miss Simone was bitten by your dog. And what time did it happen?
I'm pretty sure it happened around 11 p.m. And
Okay, so everybody's been there drinking for at least 2-3 hours, because it was called for 7 or 8, so now it's 11. So everybody, all the teenagers are all having a good time because parents are at a trade show across the country. 11 p.m. Go.
so most of the kids were on the lower deck of my backyard, and my dog, who was really...
What were they doing? They weren't eating.
No, standing around talking. Maybe a couple of them were drinking. And then...
And?
That's, I mean, there's a view you can see from that spot on the backyard, and only that spot, so we were just hanging out by the view.
Okay, want to
Okay.
tell me what happened with the dog?
So then the dog, he would usually try to stay by my side throughout the whole time my parents were away, but his legs weren't good enough.
Don't tell me what... I asked you what happened with the dog. I don't need a history.
So the dog started...
I just need what happened with the dog on the 3rd of August at about 11 p.m. with the plaintiff. I want you to tell me.
So the dog started whining because he couldn't go down the stairs about his, him making noise and disturbing our neighbors. So I left the group that was hanging out on the deck of our backyard, and I walked up the stairs, and I was just sitting with him, petting him, just trying to keep him quiet. And then that was when the plaintiff came over, and she tried to pet the dog.
Came over from where?
The deck where most of the people
You
were.
were downstairs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so she came up the stairs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, she didn't come over. She came up the stairs. And how many stairs are there?
There's one flight of stairs.
No, don't look down at anything. Hey, look here. Right here. How many stairs are there that you went up to sort of keep the dog quiet? Was the dog barking?
He was whining.
So you went upstairs to comfort the dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the plaintiff came up after you.
Not right after.
Is that what you're telling me? How much after?
5 or 10 minutes. So I was already sitting down
you're
with
up
the
there,
dog.
Up on the upper level?
Yes.
On the deck?
No, it was the
Was
deck is
anybody
the
else up?
lower level.
And what's on the upper level?
I guess that's the front part of our backyard. I guess that's where the door to our house is.
Okay, and who was with you there?
Me and then my friend Sol, and we were both. I was petting the dog, comforting, and Sol was sitting 2 or 3 feet away from the dog, and he was talking. Yes.
And she came up the stairs.
Yes, and then slightly towards the
And?
left, because we were to the left of the staircase, and she came over.
Okay.
And then she tried to pet the dog, and as soon as her hand got close to his head, he snapped at her.
Okay, very good. May I see your medical bills, please?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolov, your son is seems like a very nice young man. You know, the one thing that you should never do unless you want to have this kind of problem is leave a teenager home alone for 4 days, knowing that their parents aren't going to be home. Very bad idea. The last time that happened, that I allowed my stupidity to take over, there were 4 boats that sunk in a harbor as a result of dinghies, not big boats, but dinghies, as a result of a bunch of teenagers acting stupid. You understand? You know, you just have to know and take that as part of a risk, that if you leave a teenager home alone, they can sniff out a parentless house better than a raccoon can sniff out fresh pizza. Okay, so you had $2,000, almost $3,000 worth of medical bills. Is that right?
Yes. So for the emergency room, it was almost $3,000.
Yes.
And then there was...
Did you have insurance?
I do have insurance, but it didn't cover this.
Why?
The emergency room wasn't covered because it was out of network. So I have Kaiser, but we went to Cedars-Sinai, and so it was out of network, so that wasn't covered. And then the surgical place I went to doesn't take the insurance I have.
Why didn't you go to a place that took the insurance that you had?
This was just most convenient for me.
I don't understand that. You have insurance through your family.
Yes.
You have insurance through your family through Kaiser.
Yes.
Let's be very, very careful with what you tell me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who took you to the emergency room?
Another person at the party.
Why didn't you go home? Your
Honestly,
father's a plastic surgeon. Why wouldn't you go home for your father to irrigate the wound? Why wouldn't you go home?
And later today,
Just show me where you sent him utility bills within 10 days of their accruing. Because what you say is, well, you said to him that you would just take it off his deposit. Well, you can't do that under your lease.
Ariella Simone says a dog owned by Michael Sobolov bit her during a house party thrown by his son, Evan.
Okay, what do your parents do for a living? You were a minor. What do you...
my mother, she works part-time as a dentist, and my father works as a plastic surgeon.
So let me tell you this, Miss Simone. I don't believe that your medical bills were uncovered, so that's not happening for you. But I do believe, sir, that you're responsible for her pain and suffering. So now I'd like you to tell me about what happened after you were bitten.
So, well,
how many stitches did you have?
I had just one set of stitches on my arm.
How many?
I have an image. I'm not sure about the exact number, but I could pull up that image.
I'd like to take a look at it.
All right.
But just a second. Can I see the name on that bill, please? On that bill, the last bill. International Advanced Surgical. Where is that located?
It's located in Beverly Hills.
And what's the name of the doctor who performed that surgery?
Simone.
So your father performed the surgery?
Yes, he did.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yeah, very bad form. Very bad form. Not good to do here, Miss Simone. Can I see photographs of the injury? Okay, it looks like there were about 4 or 5 stitches. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And your father did that for you that day or the next day?
The next day.
Who washed off the wound?
My father, and once at the emergency room, they irrigated it, and then also again, my father at the party.
Why didn't you go home? Your father's a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Just a second. Your father's a plastic surgeon. Your mother is also in the medical field. Why wouldn't you go home for your father to irrigate the wound? Why wouldn't you go home?
I should have, but I wasn't thinking straight at the time, and the first thing we thought was just to go to the emergency room.
You have an old dog. She didn't do anything, according to your son, sir, that was aggressive towards the dog. It's frightening to be bitten by a dog. She had 5 stitches. I'm certainly not paying her father's bill for stitching her up. When you leave a kid home and there's drinking in the house, things happen. There's nothing that the plaintiff did that was aggressive. What she did here today was foolishness to not give me that information right up front. Very foolish. Judgment for the plaintiff for pain and suffering only in the amount of $1,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I went to pet the dog, and that's when the dog bit me.
This wasn't her first time at my house. She had been there the week before, and so she should have already known the drill.
I was not drinking because I actually drove there.
She was intoxicated.
If my father wasn't able to, I would have had to get it done anyway, and I would have had to pay for it anyway.
I mean, the whole story sounds very doctored to me.
All parties in the matter of Mandor versus Gresham, step to the podium, please.
Kevin for the return of a security deposit for a used car lot he was renting from him.
Mr. Mandor, you leased a retail space from Mr. Grisham some 3 years ago.
That's correct.
Part of that retail space, according to what I read, is a parking lot.
Right.
And there was a building attached to that. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you sold cars out of that parking lot?
Yes,
and
Your
building?
Honor.
Used cars.
Yes, sir.
The annual rental on the property was what?
It started out at $5,500 a month and ended up at $6,000 a month. So around 60,
And
60
that was
plus thousand.
Was that pursuant to the lease?
Yes.
Okay. And you gave Mr. Grisham a $10,000 deposit when you signed the lease.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is all that correct, Mr. Grisham?
It is, ma'am.
And I assume both of you have a copy of the lease.
Yes, Your Honor.
I do.
Okay. Mr. Grisham kept some $4,700 of your
correct.
deposit when the lease terminated. Up until that time, you had paid your rent.
Yes, Your
There
Honor.
is no claim that you had not paid your rent, so I assume you had paid your rent. As a tenant, you moved out after the lease, and that's what you're suing him for, the $4,700. Correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, the defense that Mr. Grisham does not deny that he kept $4,700. This is his defense, that during the lease or part of the lease, you didn't pay pursuant to the lease for trash water and electricity. Is that right, Mr. Grisham?
No, he did pay electricity. They did pay except for the last July that they were there.
Just a second. Trash and water. So what you're saying is you kept his deposit because he didn't pay for trash and water.
Yes, and the last
Did you pay
the last month's electricity bill.
And how much was the last month's electricity bill?
$77.89.
Okay, $77. Hardly worth my time.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The lease says you have to give him notice within 10 days. What you did was
So
you
you're
waited
saying that
until
I have
the
to give
whole
him
lease
notice
was
for
over.
36
I don't.
months?
Just a second. Absolutely. That's what your lease says. I assume that you wrote the lease.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kevin Mandor says Stephen Gresham is wrongfully withholding a security deposit for a used car lot he rented from him.
Now, so that the majority of what you are claiming is for trash and water.
Correct.
The majority of what you're claiming are included in his lease. Was they mentioned in his lease?
Yes, it is that he has
What
to pay.
trash? I'd like you to show me where.
It's in item number 6, ma'am.
Would you put it over there, sir?
Can you see it?
6. Landlord will calculate the utility bill for 12 months. Tenant will be... I can read it. You can take your finger away.
Sorry.
Well, sir, can you tell me what months you are claiming that you gave him the bills that he didn't pay? You're supposed to let him know within 10 days of the utility charge. That's what it clearly says here.
Right, and I did
Did
do
you give
right
him
from the
monthly
beginning.
Did you?
Right from the beginning.
Well, just show me where you sent him utility bills within 10 days of their accruing, because what you say is, well, you said to him that you would just take it off his deposit. Well, you can't do that under your lease. But what you have to do is you have to show me that you had utility bills other than this $79 that he didn't pay and that you gave him notice of.
I did give him notice.
Over a 3-year period.
It was tension all the time.
Show me that you gave him notice over 3 years.
The water bills and the trash
No, don't show me
bills.
the bills.
Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Have You Been Cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, I want you to do is show me the notices that you sent to him.
He got one notice at the
'cause
beginning,
that's what the
and it
lease
brought
said.
so much tension that I didn't want to argue. I just let it go. He wasn't going to pay
Well,
it.
you just let it go. You have to return his $4,700 to him. You have to give him
disagree
notice
with you.
pursuant. I don't care whether you disagree or not, sir. That's what the lease says. The lease says you have to give him notice within 10 days. What you did was
So
you
you're
waited
saying that
until
I have
the
to give
whole
him
lease
notice
was
for
over.
36
I don't.
months?
Just a second. Absolutely. That's what your lease says. I assume that you wrote the lease. I assume that either you or your lawyers wrote the lease.
Correct.
And it says you have to give him notice 10 days from the breach. And what you did was say, listen, I don't care. I got 10 grand of his money.
He told me to
and
take it out
I
of the
didn't like-
deposit. He wanted to pay me at the end of the
Did you tell him
lease.
to take out of the deposit?
No, Your Honor. I have evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
That's not true.
$4,700. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bye.
This case is done. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Did you change the law? Talk nonsense to me.
I want to choose my words wisely.
If I were you, I would choose them very wisely.
Judge Judy.
I was the defendant. I had to defend myself.
He literally ran us out of there.
No comment.
It was terrible for 3 years. Just terrible.
No comment, sir.
It was kind of like this for 3 years.
Thank you.
Which is why I moved on.
Her friend's dog was too frisky.
Pappy came barking at us. He was nipping at my dog's face.
And they're all off leash at this point.
Then the tables turned.
Her dog got your dog in its mouth. The dog was rushed to a vet, had to have surgery.
Was the threat obvious?
The defendant's dog has attacked other dogs before.
Each time she says was the other dog's fault.
This is Judge Judy. Michelle Kirby and boyfriend Tim Lim are suing their former friend Niharika Venad for vet bills due to a dog attack.
Judge, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Kirby Lim versus Venad. Parties have been sworn in.
Thank you, Burb. Miss Kirby, this is your boyfriend. Some of this bill, or does he co-own the dog with you?
He co-owns the dog.
So, Mr. Lim, why don't you have a seat for a moment?
Sure.
If I need you, I'll call you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Okay. You and the defendant were friends. You made an appointment to meet for some wine, conversation, and take your dogs to a dog park. You had two dogs with you, a small dog, a miniature pinscher, and a dog that you say you were fostering. What kind of dog were you fostering?
They said that she was a shepherd mix.
Much larger dog.
Yes, larger breed.
And the defendant has a full-grown German shepherd, and you knew that.
Yes.
And you went to a dog park, and you both let your dogs off leash, correct?
Yes, it wasn't a dog park. It was more of an open space, just to clarify.
So it's not a formal dog park, and you all let your dogs off leash. How many dogs were there that were off leash?
That's correct. So it was my two dogs that I had with me, Nee's dog and then my friend Abby's dog, so 4 dogs.
And what kind of dogs does your friend Abby have?
She has a Bernedoodle.
And your pinscher weighs how much?
17 pounds.
According to you, what happened was that the dogs were sort of playing around, and Pappy, your dog, yipped or barked at the defendant's German shepherd, far away from you and Miss Vinod. Were the dogs when your dog yipped or barked?
They were pretty far, and then they came closer, so they were arriving at the park. The barking started.
You mean, just a second, you mean they had gone far away from all of you?
Oh, no, they were just arriving. So we had just arrived. We were there probably for 15 minutes, and Nee was not there yet. So it was me and Abby, and our dogs were playing, and then about...
So it was you and your other friend, and the defendant arrived last.
Correct.
And your dogs and Abby's dog were off-leash playing.
Yes, they were.
And the defendant came to join you with her dog. Did you drive there by car or did you walk, Miss Vinod?
I got there by car. It is about a 7-minute walk to the spot that they were at.
When you got out of your car with your dog for this 7-minute walk to where they were, was your dog on leash?
Yes, he was.
At what point did you take your dog off leash?
When I got there and I saw their dogs playing off leash, I took their lead and I got Rocket off leash.
Before or after you said hello to them?
They were at the far end from the point where I entered, so I just smiled at them. The dogs were in the middle. I let Rocket off leash and I was walking to set my things.
Just a second, but you took your dog off leash when you saw her dog and Abby's dog playing in the distance. You took your dog off leash.
That is correct.
And did your dog run over to where the other dogs were playing?
No, ma'am. My dog is trained to heel while I'm walking.
And did the dog heel while you were walking?
Yes, he did.
At what point did he join the other dogs in play, or did he not?
Ma'am, we hadn't started officially playing. He was heeling while walking. And while I was going towards Michelle, although my dog was off leash, Pappy came barking at us. He was lunging in the air and nipping at my dog's face.
When she arrived, you saw her walking, and the defendant says that her dog was at her side. I tend to believe that, and that little Pappy ran up to her dog, who was at her side. Is that correct?
Yes.
And yipped, like sometimes little dogs do. They jump up, whether it went to nip, whether it went to greet, I don't know. And you did see your dog running towards hers, and something happened before her dog, which was at her side, got your dog in its mouth. You saw something happen. Or something.
Oh, he barked. No, he barked, he yipped. I did not see any lunging or nipping at the face. I've never seen him do that ever before. But he did bark at it. And I didn't see it that day either, that's for sure.
But the German Shepherd was at the side of the owner.
For the most part. I wouldn't say he was right next to her the whole time. He definitely, there's some space that had increased as they approached the table.
How many feet would you say Pappy ran when the other dog came into the park? I'm a dog owner, and I have small dogs. I know what I'm talking about. How far would you say Pappy ran? 50 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet from where the dogs were playing to where the defendant was with her dog. How many feet?
I would say 40 feet, or to guess.
Okay. So your dog traveled 40 feet away from where you were?
Yes. I have a picture of the location, if that's helpful.
I'll look at it.
Yeah. So this is the spot where we met. This is the table that I was sitting at. And then you can see right over here is where Nee and her dog entered. So it was probably about 30, 40 feet from where we were sitting at this table.
Okay. Anyway, what happened was tragic because bit Pappy, which caused serious injury. Dog was rushed to a vet, had to have surgery. Vet bills were over $5,000. Dog had to remain in the center. And the defendant went with you to the vet, and I think if what I read is correct, the first $850 was taken from your credit card.
That is correct. That is correct. I drove Michelle and Pappy to the vet.
Great. And it's clear that that $850 was never paid back to her, nor is she asking for that now because I don't have a counterclaim. So it's interesting. Both of your dogs were off leash. But from what she tells me and what you seem to acknowledge is that her dog was under her control and your dog was not. You know, I always say when you go to a dog park and you release your dogs and they're out there playing, you've lost control of an animal. The defendant says, and I believe her, that her dog is trained to heel. And in fact, did that when they walked into the park. It was your dog that ran across the park 30 or 40 feet, according to you, and that was where the confrontation was. And how many times previously to this date to be in the company of the defendant's dog?
Less than 10 times, but we would meet up at parks to let our dogs play.
Okay, so has your dog and her dog interacted before without incident?
Yes.
You say in your complaint that Rocket, that is the defendant's dog, has attacked other dogs before, so Nee should not have taken him to the dog park. Well, when did you find out about that?
Before the incident, I did find out. He had attacked large dogs. Each time, she says, it was the other dog's fault, but has never taken... Well, just a second. So before the incident, Ms. Kirby, if what you tell me is true, that you knew that this 120-pound German Shepherd, according to you, that the defendant told you that the dog had had other incidents with big dogs. Why in the world would you let a small dog have 10 play dates with a dog that you knew had incidents? I didn't imagine that a dog that big would care about a dog so small. I've never seen a dog react to such a small dog in that way. He's not in any threat whatsoever. He's 17 pounds.
Okay, well, that's a ridiculous answer. That's a ridiculous answer. Absolutely, it's a ridiculous answer, Ms. Kirby. What you are ascribing to a dog is a thought process. Is you're ascribing to the dogs a human thought process. Why in the world would I start up with a big dog like a German Shepherd? No. I'm just a little dog. I'm just a pincher. Oh. That's ridiculous.
No, I'm talking about like the big dog. So like for me, example, I'm also about roughly the same weight as Rocket, like about 120 pounds. If something approached me that was 17 pounds, why would I feel the need to try to kill it or pick it up and throw it around in its mouth? It's not...
I just said to you, you are ascribing to a dog a human's thought process.
And I'd never seen anything like that before.
Well, whether you've ever seen it, though, that's unfortunate.
For dogs.
That's unfortunate. She doesn't owe you any money at all. You took your dog, your 17-pound dog, on 10 play dates with a 120-pound dog without incident, and according to you, you had information before that that would have said to somebody, I'm not going to take my dog for another play date with this dog because it has vicious propensity. I wouldn't take my dogs off leash.
Judge Judy continues in a moment, and later today.
Is that about basically right?
Well, there's a little more backstory to it, but basically...
You know, at my stage in life, I'm not so interested in other people's backstory. I hardly remember my own backstory.
A German Shepherd, owned by former friend Niharika Vinod, attacked her miniature pinscher during a visit to a park.
I have a child who has 2 big dogs. They're wonderful, loving dogs. I have never seen them bite anybody. I have a new little dog, and I don't bring my new little dog to those dogs until I'm perfectly comfortable if they're off leash. Whether my little dog gets annoying, because sometimes they don't know that they're little. Little dogs don't know that they're little. Sometimes little dogs think they're huge, and sometimes big dogs think that they're lap dogs. Go on YouTube and look at the Great Dane that tries to snuzzle in with its owner on the couch because it thinks it's a lap dog. That's what happened. If you choose, you're the parent. Your pinscher is a toddler. If you choose to put your toddler at risk by taking your toddler to a playfield where there are teenagers, it's possible that when they're running and playing touch football, they're going to hurt the toddler. So I wouldn't take my toddler.
Here's like the example that...
This isn't a conversation that we're having. You don't have a case against her.
Well, here's the thing, Your Honor, I'm sorry, if you may, please let me explain that. I attacked my dog and did not let my dog go.
We're done.
Your Honor.
We're done. You have no case against her. Goodbye. We're done. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Their dog approached our dog 3 times.
My dog barked at her dog?
We moved away about 25 to 30 feet away, but their dog continued to run towards us.
Then her dog picked up my dog in his mouth and shook him back and forth as if you're a rodent or prey that he was trying to kill.
Barking, lunging, and nipping the face.
When her dog finally did let go of my dog,
which is a clear indication of attack,
I had to pick him up and apply pressure to his wounds.
The big dogs are not always at fault,
so that he wouldn't bleed to death as we got to the vet.
They are not necessarily the primary aggressors in a situation.
He's okay today.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Giavelli versus Perkins. Step forward.
Lawrence Giavelli is suing his ex-girlfriend, Regina Perkins, for the return of a motorcycle she was storing for him.
Mr. Giavelli, this is an interesting case. According to your complaint, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, did you a favor back in 2010. You were, for some reason, moving from one place to another. You were sort of short on funds. You asked her if she could store your motorcycle in her garage. She said, sure. Wanted to go, I'll send you the money and you'll ship it. Well, it's now 3 years later, and you want your motorcycle. And Miss Perkins says you can have your motorcycle when you pay her storage fees for the motorcycle, because she only agreed to keep the motorcycle for 6 months. You didn't pick it up in 6 months, so she has chosen an arbitrary figure of $250 a month storage, so she's got a counterclaim for $5,000. Miss Perkins, in what city and state is this motorcycle?
Oxnard, California.
And where do you live, sir?
Brandywine, Maryland.
And you have his motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you driven it over the last 3 years?
No, ma'am.
Was the story that I laid out when we started this approximately correct? 3 years ago, he left it there, wants it back, so you can have it back, pay the fees. Is that about basically right?
About basically right, yes, ma'am.
Well, there's a little more backstory to it, but yes, basically.
At my stage in life, I'm not so interested in other people's backstory. I hardly remember my own backstory.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a picture of the bike right here.
I don't want to see it unless it's of a good-looking guy in a bathing suit. I am not interested in a picture of your motorcycle.
Judge Judy. Lawrence Giavelli says ex-girlfriend Regina Perkins won't return a motorcycle she is storing for him. Regina is countersuing for storage fees.
What year was this motorcycle?
That's 2001.
And when did you buy it?
2009.
Don't ask me, was that a question mark at the end?
2009, yes.
How much did you pay for it?
$1,500.
Was that a question mark?
No, it's $1,500, ma'am.
And you did not drive it over the last 3 years?
No, ma'am.
Anybody else drive it?
No, ma'am.
Great. So now you got an old motorcycle that's 12 years old that nobody has driven for 3 years, laying in a garage, that you think is worth as much today as it was when you bought it in 2009. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from.
Well, I have a picture of the bike right here.
I don't want to see a picture unless it's of a good-looking guy in a bathing suit. I am not interested in a picture of your motorcycle. I just want to understand Your position is that this motorcycle that you bought in 2009 for $1,500 is worth the same today, despite the fact that nobody has started it, touched it, moved it, polished it, oiled it, greased it, whatever they do, lionized it, or anything else. Your position, that requires a yes,
yes, ma'am,
or a no. Great. Ms. Perkins, did you have an agreement with Mr. Giavelli to pay you storage for the motorcycle?
No.
So you cannot create a contract because you decide to create a contract unilaterally.
Okay, the agreement was he could keep the bike there till August of 2011.
Great. And if that's your agreement, and if you took it to the dump after that and treated it as abandoned property, if you could satisfy me that that was true, you would have been within your rights. You say he said he was going to keep it there till August. I kept it there. I notified him. I said, come and get your motorcycle or I'm throwing it in the garbage. And he didn't come. You could have thrown it away. Do you understand? But you can't create a contract with him. $250 is your arbitrary figure that you pulled out of thin air.
Actually, I called storage companies, and they gave me, I called 3 of them, and I got an average. That's how I got it. It wasn't just arbitrary out of my head.
Well, it is an arbitrary figure when you are creating a contract. So what I'm telling you is you could have thrown it away, but you tell me you didn't throw it away, that it's still sitting there.
Correct.
Great. Now, Mr. Giavelli, do you want your motorcycle back?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what state you're in now?
California.
Do you know what state your motor?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are you going to do with it when you go and get it?
Take it back to Maryland.
Just for my own information, how do you propose to do that?
Have it shipped.
Have it shipped?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know how much that's going to cost?
About $700.
And you think the motorcycle is worth double that?
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be worthwhile for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
You have 24 hours to get your motorcycle. We will give you an order. You have the title. Go with the police to her garage and get your motorcycle.
I don't think that's fair, Your Honor, because out of respect, I didn't take it to the dump, and I took care of it for him for 3 years now. And I think I should be compensated for my time and effort and the things that it's cost me.
What have you done with the motorcycle over the last 3 years? You've already told me that nobody drove it.
Right. Out of respect for the gentleman and his property, I
just
didn't want
wanted to know
anything
this.
to happen to it.
You said cost time and effort and money. I just want you to tell me.
That's right. I have a picture of where it's stored, and it prevented me from using that whole side of my house.
Could have thrown it away.
When he left it,
Pick up your motorcycle. Your counterclaims dismissed.
You know, when I called the police, they told me I didn't have to give it to him because possession was 9/10 of the law.
Are you still talking? I'm not listening anymore.
Okay.
Riders are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There was an accident. Instead of reversing their boat, they suddenly accelerated. There are a lot of boats out there, and you don't know what in the world you're doing.
Next Judge Judy.
Out of respect, I didn't write it. I didn't use it. I took care of it as if it was my own.
We were friends and just had a falling out, and friendship's over, I guess.
He did send his son at one point, but that was 14 months after the agreement to come and get it.
I just waited for her to get off work, and she called the police and said that I'm stalking her.
The police told him I didn't have to give it to him because possession was 9/10 of the law.
He said, well, it's on her property, and if I try to get the bike, it's breaking and entering. And unless she brings it out onto the sidewalk, I can't get it.
If I had left my property with someone, I would want the same respect.
I am very glad to have my motorcycle. I feel complete now.
Their so-called friend talked a good game.
She wanted to buy a bar and she wanted to go in business with us.
Then this scam went into
a Tesla. She asked us if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla.
We were fools for believing her.
No, you were more than fools.
This is Judge Judy.
Jasmine and Jose Acosta are suing their former friend, Ramona Segura, for a loan, Disneyland tickets, a garage fee, and fraud.
Order. All rise. It's case number 448 on the calendar in the matter of Costa versus Segura.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Acosta, the defendant was a friend of yours. How did you meet her?
We met her at the bar my husband works at. She's a regular there. We have mutual friends.
And it is your claim that the defendant scammed you 3 times.
Correct.
Tell me when the first time was and how you think that she took your money under false pretenses.
Okay, so it started that she was at the bar. She talked to my husband, asked him if we have any children. She stated that she works at Disneyland, that she could get us discount tickets as well as...
Is that where you work?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
So she stated she worked there, that she could also get us tickets at a discounted rate as well as a hotel. We did mention to her that it was my daughter's birthday coming up in January, so we wanted to take her. So we thought about it for a little bit.
When was this?
This was in November of 2019. So we talked about it. We discussed it. She, gained our trust. Again, we have mutual friends. It's not someone we just...
Don't go. Just give me the facts, ma'am.
So the facts, she told us it was the $300. Up front, we had to pay her $300 for her to reserve the hotel room. So that's when we went ahead and gave her $300 cash. So following the $300, it was a remaining balance of $200 the day of. And that was in December, the beginning of December. Exact date for you. I'm sorry.
Just a minute. So eventually you gave her, for this, $500.
Yes. No, so it was $300. The day of, we were supposed to give her the remaining $200, but that never happened. We were never taken to Disneyland. It was canceled. We did not go to Disneyland.
Well, who canceled it?
We did, because initially, the first date that she was giving us to go, she had an excuse where we didn't go. So for the first day she gave us, it was an excuse that the park was busy. She started talking about this coronavirus that's going on. So
you're missing me, and you're talking too fast. So you gave her the $300.
Correct.
And you made a date with her to go.
Correct.
She was going to be there because she works there.
Correct.
She canceled that date, or you canceled that date?
The initial date.
The first date?
Yes.
Who canceled it?
She did. To be the 8th and the 9th of January for us to go to Disneyland.
All right, so she gave you the dates. These are the dates you can go.
Correct.
And you gave her $300.
We gave her $300, yes.
And you were about to go. On what date did she tell you that it was canceled?
So she took the initiative because my husband...
No, look at me and talk slower.
I'm sorry. So she had took the initiative to cancel it because my husband got sick.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
So you canceled it?
No.
Well, if your husband got sick, then he couldn't go.
Yeah, but she took the initiative to cancel. She said I had already canceled. So she was rescheduling for us to go again.
You may be right.
Yes.
But don't avoid answering truthfully.
No, ma'am.
He was sick.
Correct.
So you stop playing with your paper. He was sick so that you couldn't go on the 8th and 9th of January. Were you sick?
Yeah.
What was wrong with you?
I had the flu. But I want to go because I want to take my kids.
We were
and then
still
she
going.
canceled
Just a sec. What? You had the flu and you were going to go?
So it's my daughter's
birthday.
birthday.
Well, that's pretty selfish of you.
No,
and stupid.
It's my daughter's birthday. I want to take my daughter.
That was pretty selfish and stupid. If you have the flu, to go to Disneyland with a whole bunch of other people, to give a whole bunch of other people the flu. You canceled the 8th and 9th. Did you reschedule?
We had rescheduled, but she never gave us a date. She was going to check the video. She tells us that she was coming into a settlement for 20...
Did you cancel the 8th on the 8th or the 7th?
No, ma'am.
When did you cancel it?
We didn't cancel. She canceled.
No, you canceled it. You may say she canceled. Your husband had the flu. He couldn't go to Disneyland. On what date did you let her know that you had the flu? Sir, on
She
what
came to the house that day when I was sick.
What day?
I don't remember exactly the date, but that was like 2 days before we were supposed to go to Disneyland. And then we were supposed to reschedule the date to go again. And that's when she came with that she got a settlement for $25 million. And that's when she told me I needed more money to pay my rent, if I know anybody.
Now tell me about the next alleged scam.
Yes. So following that, we became a friendship with her. We've gone out to multiple times. She had mentioned that she was going to get kicked out of her apartment, that she did not have funds due to her getting a settlement, that she was wrongfully diagnosed by a doctor, causing her to get multiple treatments, and they were rewarding her with $25 million. She said due to the IRS auditing her, her assets were frozen, so she had no money. Us as parents, we did feel bad for her because we even met her son, and she did not have $1,500 to pay for her rent.
She's working at Disney.
Apparently, she had said that all her assets were frozen, so she wouldn't have access to her money. So since she was getting direct deposit, she did not have access to get any money from the bank. So that's when she dollars, and she would reimburse them double that, doubling the $1,500. We went to bed. Again, I felt bad. I am a mother of 3. and we spoke and said, let's lend her the money.
On what date did you do that?
We lent her the money in November as well, the end of November. She was paying her rent for December of $1,500.
Let's leave the hotel room aside for the moment.
Okay.
Did the plaintiffs give you $1,500?
They did.
For what?
To help me with my rent. It was never a conversation with Jasmine. It was always conversations with Jose. And he said that he's been in tough situations, that he had spoke to his wife, that he would help me out.
Good. Did you pay him back?
No.
You owe him $1,500 so far. You still work at Disney?
I do.
Your bank's still frozen?
No. But with the Disney, can I say my side of the story? I suggested when he became sick with the flu not to go to Disneyland because he would not enjoy himself, because he would be grouchy. And so I offered him another date to go, which was in a text message, January 29th through the 31st. So I offered them another date to go, and they accepted that date. And then they turned around and canceled thereafter that she wasn't getting her unemployment check, her disability check, and she was not going to be able to go. These were non-refundable tickets.
Can I see that text, please? Notice how I sort of glossed over this $300 for Disney, because if they take your full deposit.
Right, but he was sick, and
Would you show this to them? So she offered you an alternative date?
Yes. And due to me not getting my check from EDD, I never agreed. If you see, there's never a text me saying, yes, we'll take that date.
I don't care. You canceled the first time. She managed to get you a second time. Let's go. Let's move on. So far, she owes you $1,500 for her rent. What's next?
After that, when she had said that she came into a settlement, she had mentioned to us that she had an abusive boyfriend that became her ex-boyfriend. She had mentioned that she bought him a Tesla. And during the time that she had told us that she had a settlement of $25 million, she wanted to buy a bar. She wanted to buy a bar, and she wanted to go in business with us. And moving forward, prior to the bar, she had told us that she had came into the $25 million settlement.
You already said that 5 times.
I'm sorry. It's just a whole lot that happened. There's so much in between.
So far, she owes you $1,500.
$1,500, correct. After Disneyland, when she had told us about $25 million, we had asked her my husband had asked her to let us borrow $20,000 for a home. We were in the middle of trying to purchase a home. She said, no, why don't I just buy it for you guys? Buy it, and you guys pay me, since she's getting that settlement.
So now your husband is asking her.
It's real.
Yeah. So now your husband is asking her, who he's just lent $1,500 to, for $20,000 from her settlement, because now you see, for a house.
For a home, correct.
And she said?
She said, that's when she had stated, that she'll purchase it and we would pay her back. That she could purchase it cash and we would pay her back. We got in contact with our realtor, and that's when we went house shopping. We went looking at homes for us. We went looking at homes for her. We were everywhere you could think of looking for homes. We actually opened escrow on a home. I have the purchase agreement here, as well as a cancellation.
Keep going.
We went into escrow with the home. That's when we started asking her for all her bank statements. You need W-2, all the proof that you need to show that where the money's coming from. She had excuses left and right that her attorney...
Did you give her any money for this home?
No, ma'am.
So what do I have to know about it for?
Following that, so it's because it's one of the incidents with her, that's where we were back and forth with her with the whole home. I have proof of that as far as...
Just a second. You didn't give her any money?
No, I didn't give her any money for that.
So let's move on.
Okay, so then that's where it comes to the car. Where you see the $500 garage fee, she has stated that she had bought her ex-boyfriend a Tesla. She asked us, since we were going to be business partners, if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla?
A new Tesla, that she had already gave a down payment, and that all we had to pay was a $500 garage fee. I know. Oh, she sent us photos. She sent us invoices. She sent us everything that made it seem real. We went to the Tesla dealer. We test drive the car. I mean, we went with our whole family. We're a family of 5 with the 3 little ones.
What kind of ridiculousness do you think that you can buy a $100,000 car for $500?
So she sent us an invoice that said the vehicle was going to be $64,000, that she had already gave a down payment, but since her ex-boyfriend was abusive and cheated on her with her cousin...
I don't care.
She didn't want to give it to him, so that's why she wasn't giving it to him. Now she was willing to give it to us for a $500 garage fee since her assets were frozen.
Just a second. $500 garage fee, and who was supposed to pay out the $64,000?
She had already given a down payment on the car.
How much?
She had said she had given $3,500.
Who was supposed to pay the rest?
She was.
So far, she owes you $1,500.
I have.
That's all. I'm not interested. I can't even take you seriously.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were fools for believing her.
Well, then, no, you were more than fools.
But we...
No, you were more than fools.
She came around our kids.
You were more than fools. You thought you were getting something for nothing.
And later today...
If the bills were in storage that you say she took and destroyed or she got... I lost all my bills. Can you send me a copy? Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
Jasmine and Jose Acosta claim former friend Ramona Segura defrauded them on several accounts.
Now, so far, show me proof that you gave her $1,500. Here you go. Okay.
Ma'am, can I show you what I have for the Tesla? She did send us information for it.
No. I'm going to tell you why. Because you have to know that either you're getting conned or somebody is stealing something when you're going to get a $60,000 car for $500. It's like going up to somebody and say, you want to buy my Rolex? I need money right now. I have to go buy a bowl of soup and a bagel. So I'm going to sell you my Rolex, which is a $25,000 watch, for $50. And then you say, oh, yeah. That Rolex, probably stolen. But if I could buy it for $50, why not? You think that the courts are going to help you?
I understand that we were fools for believing her.
Well, then, no, you were more than fools.
But we...
No, you were more than fools.
She came around our kids.
You were more than fools. You thought you were getting... She said she needed rent. Bank accounts were frozen, whatever it is. She may have felt that she had a couple of suckers. But you knew that you were giving her money, and that money was going... in your head was going to her rent. You said, I'm a mother of 3. I realized that. She has a son. But with regard to the car, you thought you were getting something for nothing because somebody was going to get scammed. You weren't signing your name as owners of the car responsible for the loan.
She said that she was putting it under our name.
Let's say I believe you that she said, I put down $3,500. Well, that's still $61,000. Who was supposed to pay the $61,000?
She said she was.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're done. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. May step out.
The accusations were false against me.
She's a liar. She knows what she's doing. She's a con artist.
I didn't owe him anything.
Now I can't trust people.
Jealous wife. She couldn't handle the fact that her husband and I became really good friends.
We're not friends. Absolutely not friends.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Patterson versus Williams. Step forward.
Donna Patterson is suing her former tenant, Glenda Williams, for rent, a car, the cost of a storage unit, and emotional distress.
All right, so let me understand this, Miss Patterson. You, property or two?
There was a mobile home and then a tiny house.
And were you living in the house?
No, I didn't live there.
You didn't live there. You rented to people?
Yes.
At some point, the property went into foreclosure?
Yes.
Had you owned the property for a long time?
A year.
Did you inherit the property or did you buy it?
I acquired it.
From whom?
A former friend and neighbor who no longer had any funds, so she said if I take it over.
How much did you pay for it?
I didn't. She quitclaimed it to me.
Just a second. So you didn't pay for this property that had a house and a trailer on it?
Correct.
However, that property had taxes on it that you didn't pay?
Correct.
So your friend gave you the property for nothing, you didn't pay the taxes on it, and you rented, let me get this clear because now it's becoming clear to me, you rented the house and or the trailer, one of them, to the defendant.
She actually rented a room in the house.
How many people did you have renting in the house?
5.
So now let's understand this. So you got this property for nothing, you didn't pay the taxes on it, and you were renting to 5 people who lived in the house. They paid you rent.
Yes.
At some point, all the electricity was cut off in the house and the trailer. So the whole place was being run by generator. But you lived... Lights?
Yes.
Air conditioning?
No.
Heat?
No.
Do you live in a cabin?
No.
What kind of place do you live in?
I lived in a home, a regular house, but the air conditioning and heating had broke, so I didn't have it for 3 years.
Oh, sounds like a whole lot of problems to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to come back here when you have all the paperwork? I'll be more than happy to let you go outside. Now you have the name of the company. Call them up. Fax it here. You can come back tomorrow. You want to do that? Yes or no?
No.
Of course not. Okay.
Real cases, real people, Judge Judy.
Donna Peterson says former tenant Glenda Williams is a squatter. Glenda's countersuing for the cost of a generator.
Okay. In any event, what you say is that she became a squatter and didn't pay you rent.
Correct.
In a house that had been foreclosed that you weren't paying on.
I didn't know it was foreclosed in the beginning.
Who cares? I don't care. You weren't paying a penny.
I was paying another company to keep it out of foreclosure so their rent could go towards getting it out of foreclosure.
Let me see what you were paying another company to keep it out of foreclosure.
I only have the name of the company.
I don't care.
Because it was in storage that she stole.
Name of the company doesn't help me. So far, it's not as if you rented to the defendant in a house that you were maintaining, that you paid for, and that you were paying the taxes on, and she was living there squatting on this property and didn't pay you rent from August until May, even though it was run on a generator.
But that's not correct. I'm sorry, it's not correct.
She
had all the other utilities.
You said to me, somebody gave you the house last year. Didn't you tell that to me? Or was it 2 years ago that they gave you the house?
I'm sorry, it was 2 years ago. If I said one, I'm sorry.
Well, you're an adult woman. You live in a house. Then you know on a house, on property, there are taxes that have to be paid. So it's not 1 year you didn't pay the taxes. You didn't pay the taxes for 2 years.
No, I didn't. I didn't pay the taxes.
Then you were a squatter on that property, too.
No, Your Honor. I still paid all the other bills. I paid $750 every month to keep it out of foreclosure for 2 years.
Just a second. Show me.
My receipt was in storage, which is another part of the case.
Just a second. It's not another part of the case, madam. Let me tell you this. There is zero sympathy, because if you were paying $750 a month to keep the house out of foreclosure, A, you weren't successful, and B, if the bills were in storage that you say she took and destroyed or she got rid of, then all you have to do is call up the company and say, I lost all my bills. Can you send me a copy? Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. If you paid $750 a month to a company and you didn't have the bills, that company will give you the $750 receipts as copies. If it's only over 2 years, we're not talking about 10 years ago.
But I just barely found the paperwork that shows the name of the company.
Oh, fine. Then you want to come back here when you have all the paperwork? I'll be more than happy to let you go outside. Now you have the name of the company, call them up, fax it here, and you can come back tomorrow. You want to do that? Yes or no?
No.
Of course not. Okay. Now, you have equally as ridiculous a lawsuit. You know, you say that she used your generator to fire up the house and to keep the basic necessities going, and because it was used so often, your generator, that it blew. That's your counterclaim?
Yes.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
No, it's not.
We're done.
Your Honor, there's a whole lot more to this.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You moved in with your grandfather.
A young woman runs into trouble.
He punched you?
He did, and that's when the...
Next Judge Judy.